Hello, we're back, and I'm with Sammy Maynard of Southside Elementary here in Pike County, and he has an interesting project called Fact or Fiction, Evaluating Scientific Claims in the Social Media Age. So how did you come up with that topic, and what are you planning on doing?
Well, what I started thinking about was every day my students come into the classroom and they're like, Mr. Maynard, did you see this video? You know, it may be on YouTube, it may be on Facebook, Twitter, whatever. And they're asking, is it real? And, you know, they're at an age right now that they're trying to figure that out. So as far as science goes, scientific literacy to me is extremely important, especially in this 21st century with so much technology and so much, I guess, that can be, computer generated, and these kids need to know how to evaluate those types of claims because they're going to be the consumers at one point when they get to my age, and they've got to know how to evaluate that and make sure what's right, what's wrong, what to believe, you know, instead of just taking at face value, you know, what's on a video.
Well, and the terminology here, well, it's on the internet.
Yeah.
And so then that gives it some legitimacy or some credibility.
Yeah, like I said, I hear it all the time. You know, I ask them, I said, well, do you think it's real? I said, well, it's on YouTube. Well, does that mean it's real though? And so that starts them thinking. Through my project, one of my big goals is to teach them how to collect data through scientific kind of what means, basically, collecting qualitative and quantitative data, and then in turn, figure out a way to test that video. And that may be through creating a model on paper, it may be a physical model, it'll involve research, obviously. Then you're going to research certain scientific ideas and concepts, and then be able to bring it back and to say, okay, almost Mythbuster style, you know, this is plausible or this is busted, you know, based on what they found.
Are there certain social media then that you're concentrating in, whether it's YouTube, Facebook or whatever? Is there certain ones that you'll be focusing on?
YouTube's probably going to be the big one because with fifth grade, most of my kids spend more time watching YouTube than television. YouTube and their video game systems are pretty much the majority of their lives. So that will probably be my focus, and I want them to choose the video. I'm going to let them choose the video because I want it to be something they're interested in, something they're questioning, not just something I give them and say, here, test this, because that makes it something I've noticed. But it needs to be about them because they're the ones that have to evaluate these claims, like I said, on a daily basis.
Well, we know that to be digital literate, a key part of that is to be able to make that determination. Are there any tools already out there? Are there any other websites that are myth-busting websites, or are there some other helpful hints, or are you going to have to create all this yourself?
Probably going to have to create it myself. There may be some things out there. I'm still in the research process as far as figuring out, you know, what I want to implement explicitly as far as in the room. Right now, I'm just dealing with, you know, those kind of tangibles. How do we collect data? I guess the scientific knowledge that's going to be necessary. You know, even like the old Mentos and Coke experiment. You know, we've been talking about physical and chemical reactions. So, is it physical? Is it chemical? So they make a hypothesis, and then they did the research. So I want them to keep walking through that process, learning how to take that and then go to the next steps.
Well, and as we know right now, the sophistication of photo editing, the sophistication on video is so powerful, and right now you have ISIS, for instance, with the ingenious things that they are doing in very terrible ways to present their case and to recruit people. So this just seems like a very timely thing for people to be able to evaluate some source, and is it true or not?
Right. You know, and it goes along with our next generation science standards where students have to create the investigations. It's not the old lab setups where you do step 1, step 2, step 3 anymore. You know, they're going to be asked to create their own experiment, to engage within the content itself. It's not just about the knowledge anymore. And you're right. You know, we live in a 24-hour, 24/7 news cycle where there's so much going on at all times, and they have access to it. So like I said, they're going to have to make the determination, what is fact, what is fiction, you know, what is just something that I'm being told so I'll follow it.
Well, my background is in history. And as I've revisited reading biographies of our constitutional founding fathers, in other histories, I'm realizing that at the time of the American Revolution, we didn't quite know all the reasons what was happening, why the revolution was occurring.
Right.
There's some simplistic answers. And then each generation reevaluates that. So right now, we still are looking back at it in the light of our own eyes. So we have a way as human beings to interpret things in our own frame of reference. So even when you have two or three people can see the same thing and they can come to different interpretations.
Right.
So that makes it a challenge also with the social media.
Right, and that, to me, that'll be the most interesting part, because I want them to engage in debate. There may be one group that says, yeah, I think this is plausible, and they can prove based on their research it's plausible. Whereas another group may say, no, we've busted this. It's definitely not right. And then they're going to have to basically get into those English language arts skills, speaking and listening, being able to share and then debate. So I really see this going beyond just a science class.
Yeah, and then the critical thinking skills.
Right, those critical thinking skills.
And then they'll probably get interested in a topic, and then next thing you know, read a few books or something.
Yeah, and that, to me, that's the goal. You know, I heard on a show I watched the other day, they were talking about, every child today, as they become an adult, may not know every little scientific symbol or all the math that's behind it, but they need to be literate enough to evaluate and to come to a decision on many of the topics that are in science or just in the everyday world.
Well, this is an exciting project, so I'll look forward to in the April for when you come back to Action Research to go ahead and share what you've learned from us. So again, Sammy, thank you for what you're doing.
Appreciate it.